Oh, hello again. Today I'm going to talk about another branches of linguistics, and it's called semantics. And what is semantics? Semantic is the study of meaning of word, phrases, and sentences. So basically, semantic is the study of meaning. And it is an attempt to focus on what the words conventionally mean rather than on what an individual speaker might want them to mean on a particular occasion. So in semantics, we are just focused on the conventional meaning of word based on the dictionary. And the goals of semantics is that it is an approach. This approach is concerned with objective or general meaning and avoid trying to account for subjective or local meaning. So in semantics, you are going to look at the meaning of word based on the meaning in the dictionary, based on the conventional meaning, not based on the speaker intention meaning, because it will be in the different branches of linguistics. And then the spell out what is we all know when we behave as if we share knowledge of the meaning of word, a phrase, or a sentence in language. So it is so we are not going to see the intended meaning of the speaker, but the meaning of a word based on the conventional meaning. And there are two types of meaning in English. The first one is conceptual meaning, and the second one is associative meaning. Conceptual meaning covers those basic essential components of meaning that are conveyed by the literal use of a word. So it is the type of meaning that dictionaries are designed to describe, and it is called a denotation meaning. So conceptual meaning is also denotation meaning, which means we will see the word literally as in the dictionaries. Meanwhile, associative meaning is a connotative meaning. It is different association or connotation attached to a word. Jadi kalau yang denotasi itu adalah makna literal, kalau yang konotasi adalah makna konotasi yang mengandung konotasi tertentu. There is ada tanda tertentu dalam connotation meaning. And in semantics, we are learning the denotation meaning, not the connotation meaning one. And there are varieties of meaning. The first one is based on linguistics. Second one is based on speaker. Based on linguistic, we have language and we have idiolect. What is idiolect? We will talk about that later. And based on the speaker, we have literal meaning and we have non-literal meaning. And in language, we have dialect. In dialect, we have regional as well as social dialect. And in non-literal meaning, we have irony, and then sarcasm, and then we also have metaphors. And what are they? So you can see it from here, the varieties of meaning is divided into two, based on linguistic and based on speakers. Based on linguistic, you have language and idiolect. Idiolect is someone dialect. For example, me, I have my own dialect when I speak, and you have your own dialect when you are speaking. Jadi setiap orang memiliki idiolek masing-masing. So idiolek adalah aksen atau dialek masing-masing individu. Misalnya saya berbicaranya seperti ini nih. Tapi ada yang berbicara misalnya seperti jadi masing-masing, misalnya Reni dan Indra will speak differently. So this is what we call idiolect. Meanwhile, dialect is a group dialect. Jadi a dialect that is used by a group of people, and it is consists of regional, based on regional or place dialect. For example, you have Ngapak dialect in Banyumas, but you have Arean dialect in Jawa Timur, for example. And based on social, there is a dialect using by a lower class society or by a higher class society. Meanwhile, for literal, non-literal meaning, you have irony, sarcasm, and metaphor. And what are they? We are going to talk about that here. Based on linguistic meaning, Linguistic meaning is an expression that is simply the meaning or meanings of that expression in the language. For example, procrastinate means to put off doing something. It means you are delaying something. Meanwhile, dialect is a form of language that is spoken in particular area and that uses some of its own words or grammar and pronunciation. Meanwhile, idiolect is the language or speech pattern of one individual at a particular period of life. Jadi kalau dialek itu adalah aksen atau dialek yang digunakan oleh sekelompok orang di area tertentu. Ya, misalnya tadi sudah saya contohkan di Banyumas pakai ngapak, di Jawa Tengah, di daerah Solo menggunakan bahasa Jawa Jogja, kemudian kalau di Jawa Timur menggunakan dialek arean. Sedangkan idiolek adalah the language atau bahasa yang digunakan oleh masing-masing individu. Jadi misalnya saya, kalian punya dialek yang berbeda-beda. Meanwhile, based on the speaker meaning can differ from linguistic meaning. It is depending on whether the speaker is speaking literally or non-literally. When we speak literally, we mean what our words mean, and in this case, there is no important difference between speaker meaning and linguistic meaning. But when we speak non-literally, we mean something different from what our word means. For example, it's getting late. It means that we should leave. Or the door is right behind you. It means the speaker wants you to leave. So there are two kinds of speaker meaning here, literal and also non-literal. And irony is the use of words that mean the opposite of what you really think, especially in order to be funny. Ya, ironi itu sebenarnya sindiran, ya. Sindiran. Meanwhile, sarcasm is also the use of words that mean the opposite of what you really want to say, especially in order to insult someone. Tapi yang ironi adalah sindiran tetapi untuk become funny. Kalau sarcasm, to insult someone, to show irritation or to be funny too. And for example, that movie was a real winner. The speaker means that the movie was a flop. The movie is not really good at all. Meanwhile, metaphor is a word or phrase for one thing that is used to refer to another thing in order to show or suggest a similarity or analogy between them. Metaphor in bahasa Indonesia called majas. Jadi metafor adalah majas. Ada beberapa majas di bahasa Indonesia, ada hiperbola, kemudian dan lain sebagainya. Nanti kita akan bahas untuk yang metafor. For example, ruby lips, emerald eyes, or teeth of pearl, for example. This is the example of metaphor. And metaphor usually can be found in a novel or short stories. And you have semantic features. In semantic features, you have oddness. Oddness is the strange or unusual, and it is different from what is normal or expected. And oddness in semantic refers to sentence or phrase that doesn't make any sense. For example, the hamburger ate the boy. Syntactically, this sentence is, there is no problem in the sentence the hamburger ate the boy, but semantically it is doesn't right. It is oddness because this sentence doesn't make sense. How can a hamburger eat a boy? Another example, the table listens to the radio or the host is reading the newspaper. These three sentences are syntactically or grammatically correct, but in terms of meaning, it doesn't make sense. So this is what we call as oddness in semantics. And we can analyze the oddness of a sentence meaning by applying animate being or analysis. Plus is for animate being, for example, for human and animals. Negative animate is for something that denote an animate being. Yeah, for example, bird, hamburger. And plus is for human, for example, girl, boy, woman. Here are the semantic features. For example, cheese, rooster, king, duchess, wallet, and fish. Cheese is non-animate, it is non-human, it is non-female. Meanwhile, rooster, you can put plus here. Rooster is animate, and negative for human, and female, negative for female. You can continue to analyze. King is animate, positive, human, and then it is human, so positive, and negative for female. For example, like this, yeah. So this is the analysis for the oddness of semantic features. And then you have lexical relation. Lexical relation is an approach used in the semantic description of language by characterizing the meaning of each word, not in terms of its component features, but in terms of its relation to other words. In lexical relation, you have many types. The first one, you have synonymy, you have antonymy, you have homonym, hyponym, homophone, prototypes, polysemy, and metonymy. I believe you have already know what a synonym and antonym is. So synonym is when two or more words have very closely related meaning or have similar in meaning. For example, pretty and beautiful, soft and tender, buy and purchase, big and large, freedom and liberty. This is what we call synonym, that two or more words have similar meaning. Meanwhile, antonymy or antonym is when two or more words have opposite in meaning. For example, pretty and ugly, soft and hard, buy and sell, happy and sad, hot and cold, and etc. And antonyms are divided into two. The first one is gradable antonym, which means it is measurable. The negative doesn't imply the other, and it can be used for comparison such as big and small because it is measurable. And non-gradable. Non-gradable means it cannot be measured. The negative implies the other, and it cannot be used for comparison such as male and female, and true and false. It cannot be used for comparison, but for gradable you can use it for comparison. For example, bigger or smaller, taller or shorter. Meanwhile, for non-gradable you cannot use it for comparison. All right, the third one, you have hyponymy. Hyponym is the meaning of one form is included in the meaning of another. We can say that hyponym means a family words. A family words. For example, rose is also means a kind of flower. Dog means a kind of animal. So when you say rose, it is also mean flower. So hyponym means a family word. For example, a flower mean, in flower you have rose, you have jasmine, you have another kind of flower. Meanwhile, in animal you have dog, you have cats, horses, cows, and etc. This is what we call hyponym. Meanwhile, prototypes is the idea of the characteristic instance of a category is known as the prototype. And the concept of a prototype have explained the meaning of certain words like bird. Bird, not in terms of component features, has feather, has wings, but in terms of resemblance to the clearest example. Thus, even native speaker of English might wonder if ostrich or penguin should be hyponym of word, but have no trouble deciding about sparrow or pigeon. These last two are much closer to the prototype. Jadi kalau hyponym itu adalah kelas keluarga, jadi keluarga kata ya. For example, misalnya tadi dari kata animal itu ada banyak macam animal, sedangkan prototype itu adalah karakteristik. Jadi kata yang menunjukkan karakteristik dari sebuah kata. Misalnya tadi ada kata bird, itu berarti contohnya bird itu ada sparrow and pigeon. Jadi sparrow and pigeon itu adalah prototype dari bird. Sedangkan bird adalah hyponym dari animals. Itu. And then you have homophones and homonym. Homophone dari kata phone artinya berarti suara ya. So two or more different written form have the same pronunciation but have different meaning. Jadi homophone sama suaranya beda maknanya. For example, bear and bear. Meat, daging and meat bertemu. Flower and flower. Jadi pronunciation-nya sama tetapi written form-nya atau spelling-nya berbeda dan maknanya berbeda. And you have homonyms. Homonym means words that have separate histories and meaning but have accidentally come to have exactly the same form. Jadi homonym ini formnya atau spellingnya sama, pronunciation-nya juga sama, tetapi berbeda maknanya. For example, bank of a river and bank of financial institution. Those two words are also pronounced as bank, written as bank, but has different in meaning. And then you have polysemy. Polysemy can be defined as one form of written or spoken and having multiple meanings that they are related by extension. And the relatedness of meaning found in polysemy is essentially based on similarity. So polysemy is mean one word has many or multiple meaning. For example, the word head, it can be the object on top of your body, or it can be the person at the top of a company or department. For example, my head is hurt, or the head of the department is leaving the country. So the head here, the word head in the first sentence, my head is hurt, itu berarti adalah object on top of your body. Meanwhile, the head of the department means someone that is in chief of a department or a company. You can see some other example. For example, date. Date for here can be date, tanggal, day and month. It can be an arranged meeting time. It can be a social meeting or even a person. That person will like, for example, I date her, and etc. Jadi polysemy itu satu kata memiliki banyak makna. Poly artinya banyak ya. And then you have metonymy. Metonymy is the relationship between words based on simply on a close connection in everyday experience. That close connection can be based on a container or contents relation. For example, butter and water, can and juice, and a whole part relation, for example, car and wheels, house and roof, or representative symbol relationship, for example, king and also crown, the president and the White House. And using one of these words to refer to another is an example of metonymy. So for example, I need a bottle of water. It means you are using metonymy because a bottle and water are having relations between words. Yeah. And then that's all about the material for semantics. If you have any question, you can drop your question in the comment. Thank you very much for today and bye-bye.